Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Dune Part 2. I know, very, very late. I finally got a chance to go watch it at the theater. Let me tell you, this was not only worth the wait, but I definitely waited too freaking long. Um, there will be no spoilers on this video. Maybe I'll do a second video with a little bit more in-depth spoilers. But overall, for this one, I don't think it's needed. This movie is rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 46 minutes. Pretty long movie, but it definitely doesn't feel that way. We'll talk about that in a minute. As of the recording of this video, we have a Rotten Tomato score of 93% with a 95% for the audience, letterbox rating of 4.5. Those are all pretty high marks. Like, you know, however much way you put into these statistics, these ratings online, especially the later letterbox, right? That one's kind of user generated. It's got a little bit more nuance than Rotten Tomatoes. So overall, pretty big scores. Um, so this movie, quick synopsis. This is a public synopsis, and so no spoilers here. Dune Part 2 will explore the mythic journey of Paul Atreides as he unites with Chani and the Freemen while on a warpath of revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family. Facing a choice between the love of his life and the fate of the known universe, he endeavors to prevent a terrible future only he can foresee. This film is, of course, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it stars Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, Zendaya as Chani, Rebecca Ferguson as Jessica, who's Paul's mom, Josh Brolin as Gurney. We also have Austin Butler as Fate Rautha. We also have Florence Pugh as Princess Illyran. Dave Bautista as Beast Ravan, Christopher Walken as the Emperor, and Stellan Skarsgård as Baron Harkonnen. Of course, the cast is a lot bigger, but these are the main players. Without really going into any spoilers, these are the kind of the people you've seen on most of the posters and in the publicity. So, wow, this movie was amazing. So I watched this at an Alamo Draft House locally. The stuff they have for the previews, first of all, it's incredible. I love going to the Alamo. I haven't been in a little bit because I have the AMC A list, so I can kind of keep going that. But yeah, this movie has, first of all, very engaging story, which not having done a rewatch of part one, I still really just kind of eased into it. I think the movie does a great job of doing a little bit of exposition in some places to remind you of the big strokes of the first film, right? Obviously, it doesn't go into detail, and maybe there are some nuances that they don't get touched upon, but overall, they do a pretty good job at just kind of recapping the whole event, like the whole movie, within like a few sentences or a few sequences, which is really interesting, right? There were a few things that I was definitely like, "What's going on here?" But then the movie, like I said, it catches you up pretty quickly. The cast is just amazing performances overall. Like we really get to spend a lot of time with them. This film is definitely character driven. As much as the plot is very important to everything that's going on, it's a very straightforward story, right? It's really about the characters and their journeys, and how much things change from the first film to the second. I think Paul goes through a really big journey. So does Rebecca Ferguson, who, oh my God, I not only has she been great doing PR for the film, but her performance is outstanding. Like she probably has to do a lot of the heavy lifting in this film, and I think she really delivers that. The performances between Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet as well, like they have a lot of scenes together, of course, and they really work. One of my favorite casting choices, and I think this is an inspired casting choice, is having Christopher Walken as the Emperor. That is just, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I think, um although I in my mind I found it a little bit funny, like it just really works for the film. So it kind of works on multiple levels, right? It's a little bit of meta of like, well, Christopher Walken is not only a great actor, but he's like this kind of like, he's kind of a meme, right? It'd be almost similar to having Nicolas Cage in a role like this, something like that. But yeah, the rest of the cast really delivers. Austin Butler gets lost in his performance as far as like in the character. Not as much, not that his performance is lost in the film. I just mean that he just really loses himself in the character. Stellan Skarsgård having to wear all the prosthetics. I can't imagine having to do that. Javier Bardem as well as Stilgar, just really a big tentpole of the film as well. So great performances. You can tell that the cast has a lot of chemistry, um, and of course, Denis Villeneuve just he keeps showing us those beautiful visuals. I think he has a really great mastery of the cinematography and understanding of how to shoot a scene and how to bring us into a scene. This has to do a lot with the editing, right? There are a lot of voiceovers where we kind of see some one thing is happening while another voices are going on, or even before we get into a big pivotal scene, there'd be like a little establishing shot that just really tells you, instead of like a card saying like we're here now, or like Emperor's Palace or whatever, like just a quick establishing shot. Also from the trailers, I know you've seen the black and white sequences. Those look amazing on screen. Like it just really, it's a really cool change of pace. um there was one big visual that I feel like it could have, I feel they had done something a little bit different. I understand why they didn't. Like in the movie, it makes sense, I guess. But there's a big battle with two different armies, and they're both like everyone kind of is wearing the same color almost. It's kind of hard to follow along. But that's really my one big complaint if I were to try to really find one. Like I said, in the story film, it makes sense why they're both kind of dressed the same, right? It's a desert planet, so you kind of want to blend in with your environment. But I think in the first film, the Harkonnen army really stood out with those big, big menacing black outfits. So one other thing that I really want to point out, the sound design was amazing. Not just the score. The score is beautiful. Hans Zimmer is it's a genius, but the sound design itself, like there's a lot of desert sounds. I this week I watched a video with a Foley artist, which is the people that kind of put in the sound. And it just got me thinking to kind of pay attention more to like how sounds come in the films and if it makes sense that something sounds a specific way. Um, there's a lot of sounds coming from like sandstorms and the worms, like everything going on in the desert. Of course, big battle sounds. So like, I don't know, it kind of opened me up to listen to a little bit more on that. And then the score, which I feel like it's very sparsely used, but it's used at the moment to really highlight a scene, right? Especially that big sound, like the yelling orchestral sound that people kind of make fun of on the internet. Um, it's really good. Like just part two just takes a lot of the best stuff from the first one and just kind of really ramps it up. Continues really subtle, great world building. Like it never hammers you, and you never sit down for a history lesson in this film, which is great. A lot of these sci-fi films, unfortunately, suffer from like I need to do like 5 minutes of exposition so you know everything that's going on. This film to me doesn't feel that way. Like I said, everything's kind of driven through the characters. Villeneuve has some really interesting shots where they really zoom in on the face. There's a lot of shots that are just really close up on a face, and they really capture a lot of these actors. They do a lot with their eyes, and it just really brings that to the screen. Like imagine seeing just a pair of giant eyes on the screen trying to tell you a story. It's really well done. Also, a lot of these big sci-fi pieces, you can definitely tell like where CGI effects are coming in. This one, everything felt very practical, pretty organic, like even kind of messy. It's not something that you feel like it's fake. Obviously, not everything is real, but it just doesn't feel that way. It feels kind of lived in. It feels like there's a lot of weight behind the images, if that makes sense. So yeah, I really enjoy Dune Part Two. I can see why people are loving it online. Um, and yeah, I really had a great experience going to the theater. There's a lot of movies I need to catch up on, and Dune was definitely at the top of my list. So yeah, I'll probably talk a little bit more about this once we get, maybe when it comes out. Maybe I'll do another video with spoilers and stuff when it comes out on VOD, or we'll talk about it on the live. But yeah, great stuff. Highly recommend. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on the largest screen you can before it leaves the theaters. So if you enjoyed this film, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. Everyone, remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.